This is my 2018 Ram with the diesel option, 2 batteries. Finally time to change the batteries. I made a quick video just so you guys see what I'm doing. The original batteries that are in these call for a size 94R. That's the old one that came out, the original. This is almost a 7-year-old battery. When I took it out of the battery box, I realized that there's probably space for a larger one inside the battery box on this from the factory. It had this spacer on the side, this piece here, and it pops out. It looks like there's a little spring-loaded tab. It was oriented like this. If you push that tab back, squeeze it with a screwdriver, fingers or whatever, this little spacer will pop out. And it looks like there's room then in the battery box to fit the next size largest battery instead of a 94R or a, what is that? Group 7, I think it is. H7 was the original size. Walmart sells an H8, also I think called a Group 49. Yeah, it's the same price, but it's it was $179 instead of 850 cca. These are 900 cca and a little bit more amp hours and a lot more reserve capacity. So I think the original size is an 80 amp hour and these are a 95 and the reserve capacity is 160. I don't completely understand exactly how much more power I'm getting, but I always feel like bigger is better if it's the same price. So I popped that out. My only concern was that maybe the battery cables wouldn't quite spread far enough apart because the new battery is 2 inches longer. After that spacer is out, it's 2 inches farther apart. So I took this adapter off and turned it 90 degrees. This unbolts from the top and the adapter comes off the bottom side. You'll notice if you're looking at yours from the factory, this is turned just 90 degrees closer, so the post is over here. By turning it 90 degrees, I think I'm spreading it apart about 2 inches farther. I have no idea what this box is on the negative cable side. If somebody else knows, let me know. I'm really curious what that does. So I swapped that over and I'm gonna see how everything fits now. Hang on a second. Okay, having finished installing this H8 battery in place of the H7 standard size, I can confirm it fits just fine. It really did help having this this adapter bolted to the bottom side of the mystery thing here, turned by these 90 degrees. It just gave me a little bit more room. I didn't have to stretch this wire. If I would have spread this apart the 2 inches farther, it would have kind of strained this one and just stretched everything out of its original position. So that worked great. And there's about 1/4 of an inch of extra space in the battery box for this H8. And I'm getting, it's going to be upside down, I suppose, but I'm getting the 160 reserve capacity instead of the typical 140 out of the H7. And I'm getting the 95 amp hours instead of the 80 amp hours from the H7. And like I said, at my Walmart, same price, $179 for either style. I'm not sure why someone would not do this. I was going to put H8s on both sides and I realized over on the passenger side that's not going to fit. There's no space over there. So it just seemed like a good idea. Like I'm getting free battery capacity for what, the extra couple of pounds of a larger battery. Seems like a good idea unless somebody smarter than me can tell me a reason why I would not want to have mismatched batteries. I'm going to end up with a new H7 on the passenger side and the H8 over here. Not sure if that's a problem. I will find out, I guess, because I'm doing this and we're going to see how it goes. Extra battery capacity for free. Why not? Why would you not want to do it? I have been watching enough Cummins forums that I know everything devolves into a joke about the grid heater bolt at some point. So I guess we'll kick it off right now. Extra battery power. Great. So when my grid heater bolt fails, it'll just burn off quickly and more completely and more efficiently when the time comes. Have not changed that yet, but that'll come up pretty soon. So I don't know, you guys let me know. Is there a reason why not to expand the battery capacity on the driver's side? See how it goes. See ya. Well, over on the passenger side, why give up so easily? Instead of hanging my head in shame and admitting defeat and going back to Walmart to exchange for the standard size 94R battery that's 2 inches narrower after the blanket came off of this one, it turns out this battery box is pretty close to fitting the larger size battery, the H8, inside. The only hang up, I think, is going to be this flange on each side for maybe a 1.5 inch or so of flange. It gets a little bit narrower, but the actual width of the box from one side to the other should accommodate the larger battery, I think. So why give up? I'll try cutting the flange off and cutting up this battery box and modifying, see if I can squeeze the larger battery in and make it fit. We will find out, you know, in the name of science and the greater good and all that. We will find out what happens. Worst case, I hack apart my factory battery box and it turns out to be a disaster and it loses all its strength, falls apart, and I buy another one and replace it, and then admit defeat. But for now, I'm going to cut this apart and I'll find out if we can indeed fit one on the passenger side also. Started by clearancing the web from the top here where the battery tray kind of steps in. I cut the web off from there and went almost all the way down to the bottom, within just a couple inches of the bottom. I did that on both sides, and I also see that the bottom of this tray has these little reinforcement flanges, or I don't know what you call them, a little bit of reinforcements. They kind of come up. If I set the battery in there, it's actually going to rest right on these corners without any support in the middle. So just for good measure, I grabbed a chunk of some reflective foam padding here. I just cut about a 6x12 square of that. I'm going to set that in the bottom just to give support in the middle so the battery isn't resting just entirely only right on the corners. Probably could get away without doing that. I'm sure the plastic of the battery will just kind of mold itself to fit over the years. But we'll try that first and see what happens. First try, no good. It was really close. Turns out the forward corner, the forward top corner of this flange has to be cut all the way back up into this triangle. You can probably get a pretty good view of how far I cut it right there. That's what it takes to get the battery in. It's really close. Without that last 1/2 inch cut off of there, it didn't quite make it. And there it is inside on the passenger side battery tray. It's very tight. If I was doing this again, I probably would have clearanced this top corner back. I'll give you a shot on what that looks like. I probably would have clearanced that web back just another 1/4 inch. It's just touching the top corner of the battery. And down each side, there's about 1/8 inch to spare. On each side of this battery going into the tray, there's not a lot of room. It's pretty tight there, but it snugly fits. It clamps down. It's hooked underneath the hook, I guess, whatever you call it, on both sides. The clamp fits fine on that side, clamped down nice and tight. It's a snug fit. It's not really that hard to take in and out. It works, but it's very snug. There's no, we'll call it wasted space. There's no wasted space around this battery. It's in there. I'll hook the wiring up and see if I encounter any difficulties with that. So that's that. All wrapped up, wiring done on the passenger side. Negative fits just fine, no problems, no modifications, plenty of cable length to reach out there and hit that post. On the back positive post, that was a little bit tighter. This post being pushed back farther to the firewall now with the wider battery. I kind of wanted to make this cable here touch the firewall and just be a little bit crowded. So all I did was, in the end of my battery clamp, it came with this plastic plug, and that plastic plug sits tight against the edge of this recess in the battery. It makes this clamp sit at a perfect 90-degree angle. I just took this plastic chunk out and loosened this bolt in the back so that it could sit a little bit crooked. It just frees up just a little bit more space on that big fat battery cable so it doesn't rest against anything. So now I've got clearance, is not touching anywhere. So that fits just fine, and that's that. 2 size H8 or 8H batteries in my 2018 Ram truck instead of the 7Hs for more power.